already been subscribed. Right now, the queen, she on live.
Right now.
Please pull over with no phoning when you drive. Dope Soul Sporting with the talk. First lady from New York,
Brooklyn.
All my people, you rocking with the chat.
Hit that.
The like button would tell me where you at. You know, Step from the NBK. Born and raised up NBK. Hey, real lady, where she holding it down. No matter way how you feel, she gon' greet you with a smile.
Sister, you one of a kind.
Yes.
Oh, sister, it's time you
That's her.
shine. Dope Soul.
Where you at? Where you at?
Dope Soul.
Where you at? Where you at?
Dope Soul.
What?
Dope Soul.
What?
Your soul.
Where you at? Where you at?
Salute, Nick family. Welcome to the channel, Dope Soul Sports Talk. Dope Soul Knicks Talk, a member of the NBK family. The Knicks have continued their season of streaks, losing their third straight to the Orlando Magic, 106-111. Listen, this is not a stats game to me, and we'll get into the stats. We'll talk about Grimes. We'll talk about Randle. We'll talk about shooting percentage. We'll talk about all of that. But to me, this is not a stats game. As corny as it sounds, this is a heart game. This game was about urgency. This game was about grinding it out and finding a way to win. Listen, I get it. I get it. This is the second game of a back-to-back. You're playing without Brunson. You're playing an up-and-coming team who have beat quality opponents. They beat Boston 3 times. They beat the Clippers. I believe they beat Denver. Right. So this is a quality team. They got a budding star, maybe even superstar in Banchero. I understand it's not going to be easy. Right. But I think about Minnesota. I think about Miami, how sharp those guys came out, understanding the moment, understanding what this game meant, and maybe the Knicks understood what it meant, and maybe they just didn't have enough. But in my opinion, you grind it out. You find a way to win. This is not the game to shoot 32% in the first half overall and 22% from the three-point line. This is not that game. This is not the game to have 5 turnovers. Yeah, you understand? So anyway, I'm not at my best self today. I am not happy with the Knicks, again, I didn't think it was going to be an easy game, but I thought it was a must win. And I thought the Knicks would be up to the task, even without Brunson. You have to find a way to win. Anyway, shout out to the chat. All of those who are here now, those who will be joining later, and the replay gang. I appreciate you guys. Let's get right into it. Knicks came into the game 42-32, 10 games over 500, fifth in the Eastern Conference, still 5-5 over their last 10, having lost their last 2 games coming into this game. Orlando Magic 30-43, 13th in the Eastern Conference, 4-6 over their last 10, having won their last game prior to the Knicks. Emmanuel quickly started because Brunson was out. Grimes, Barrett, Randle, Robinson. They started Fultz, Harris, Banchero, Wagner, Wendell Carter Jr. All right, let's get right into it, and then I'm going to check in with the chat. And I've been reading some of the comments even before I logged on, even before I went live, and you guys are right on point. The Knicks came out flat, and like I mentioned in the intro, that urgency is not there. I don't understand, like the Knicks, I don't know, they're operating as if they've clinched a playoff spot already. Depending on how they play the rest of the way, we can easily find our way into the 7th spot, into the play-in. Listen, I thought Grimes and Quickly came out, particularly Grimes, with a sense of urgency. Like you could just tell he was probably saying to himself, I wasn't there, obviously. I got to knock my shots down today. We really need this game. We really need it. I got to knock my shots down. Right? And it wasn't even the shooting. It wasn't even the shooting for Grimes. Let me see if I can find it here. He also had 5 rebounds. He had 6 assists. He had 3 steals. He single-handedly got us back into the game after going down 19 in the first half. Single-handedly got us back into the game, right? I know it was a problem when RJ went, drove in and he missed his first 2 drives or whatever. I was like, oh boy, this is going to be a rough one. And it was. And it was. RJ Barrett has been playing very well up to this point. Last night was not a good night. And we needed a good night from RJ Barrett, particularly with Brunson out. Okay, we got it from Grimes. We got it from Quickly. But we needed it. One more person, would have helped. And again, I'm not even sure the offense, the offense wasn't clicking. 106 points is below the Knicks average. But the defense. Listen, this is the same defense the Knicks have been playing all season, right? And over the last 10 games, the Knicks are 20th, I believe, in defensive rating out of 30 teams. 20. The Knicks are 7th in terms of defending the three-point line. Oh, I should say, in terms of the percentage that teams shoot against us from the three-point line, we're 7th in the league. It's pretty good. Top 10. Over the last 10 games, we're 17th. The defense is taking a step back, and I'm not quite sure why, and I'm not quite sure what the issue is. Oh, yeah, why? Same thing. I'm not sure why. The defense has taken a step back, but it has. And it's taken a step back at a time when you want your team to be playing their best basketball heading into the playoffs. And the Knicks are not. The Knicks are not. They are a streaky team. It's like they don't know how to shift momentum. Win 5, lose 3. Win 8, lose 2. They don't know how to shift momentum. I'm not quite sure is there anybody in that locker room who's been there before? Is there anybody in that locker room who has the voice and that the team will listen to help them understand these are the dog days of the NBA. These last 5, 10, 20 is 100%, right? Who's in that locker room that can say, yo, that can light a fire under these guys? Listen, I know Tibbs is in his same drone voice. We got to take one game at a time. We got to forget about yesterday. We got to focus on today. We got to execute the game plan. We got to move the ball. I mean, he's saying the same, and he's saying the right things. But like, who's in that locker room that's like, yo, what is going on with us? If we want to get into the playoffs, like we've worked all season to get right here. This is what we've talked about preseason, and we're right here. What is going on? Somebody in the chat said the Knicks need a team meeting. Maybe because something is off with the team. And I get it. There are times when you don't play well. There's times when you don't shoot well. I get it. But I'm just not seeing the sense of urgency on the Knicks' part. And listen, kudos to them. They were able to get back into this game after being 19 down. Grimes and other players, had something to do with it. But in that fourth quarter, if we hit a 3, they hit a 3. You got to be able to get stops. If you're down, all right, you hit your shot. But if you can't stop the other team, you're just trading baskets. You're down. You need to stop the other team and hit your shot. And the Knicks weren't able to do that. And they shot 7 of 8 from the three-point line in that fourth quarter. Every time we hit a shot, they came down and hit a shot. We could not get stops. And then some of the shots we were taking. I mean, I don't know. I'm just not feeling the Knicks right now. I'm going to talk a little bit, about Randle. Listen, I think some people, in my opinion, are overplaying the quickly aspect of it. That he was drawn with quickly and he didn't want quickly to hold him back. Listen, that happens all the time. If you're angry, you don't want anybody putting their hands on you. I've seen it. I've seen it in basketball games. I've seen it in the streets. I've seen it at family barbecues. If you're angry, you don't want a person touching you. Okay? So that part, him drawing back and forth with quickly, I think is being overplayed. However, I think there's aspects of it that are being underplayed and minimized. All right. Oh, people get texts all the time. He was frustrated. He wasn't getting a call. Oh, that's true. That's true. But for me, this is the part that's being minimized. The difficulty honing your emotions. The inability to go to the line and not cross the line. The inability to see the bigger picture. Yes, you're being not even fouled. Julius Randle is getting hacked and he's not getting the calls. So him being frustrated is legit. You allowed to get frustrated. He's a human being, right? You're allowed to even go to the refs and voice your displeasure. Yo, what are you doing? You didn't see that? But if an official, and I don't know what the official said, but from his hand gestures was letting him know, I need you to back up. And he said it once or twice, maybe even 3 times. At that point, you have to be able to stop. You have to be able to recognize the moment and stop. Now, I get it. It was at the end of the half, right? And to his credit, he played his best basketball in the second half, right? So whatever happened, he was able to get it together at halftime. It did not impact how he played in the second half. Even in the Clipper game, I do think it changed our momentum a little bit at the beginning of the fourth quarter, but it didn't impact how he played even in the Clipper game. But my concern is just because it hasn't happened at an inopportune time doesn't mean it won't happen at an inopportune time. Just because we had the opportunity to recover from it doesn't mean we will always have the opportunity to recover from it. You understand? When you have somebody who has difficulty when they get really ramped up, bringing it back, who's to say that doesn't happen in the playoffs in the fourth quarter with 2 minutes left? We can't say that. So yeah, I don't want to overblow the quickly part, but that part about not being able to hone your emotions and bring it back in the moment, that is a concern for me, right? I'm happy that he doesn't let it linger. That's great. But in the moment, there is some concern there, especially heading into the playoffs. And I see a pattern. The pattern is Brunson is not there, right? So he's shouldering more of the load, or he feels he has to shoulder more of the load. He's not getting calls, and the Knicks are losing. I think that, we're losing. I'm not getting calls. That frustration, it just boils over. And it can boil over at a time that hurts the team. I don't think it did these last 2 times, in my opinion. But my concern is that it can happen at a bad time. He has to figure out a way. I'm a mental health professional. When you get to the end, now it's about calming the person down. Any intervention, and this is Randle intervening in himself, maybe they have somebody on the bench, I'm not sure. That intervention has to happen on the ramp up so it doesn't get to that point. Like whatever processes he's using at halftime between quarters to bring himself back, and he's doing a good job of that. It's not lingering. He has to figure out a process that he can use throughout the game when he feels the frustrations bubbling over. Because when it gets to a head, he's having a difficult time bringing it back. And my concern, again, is that it's going to happen at a time that's really going to hurt the team. I don't think that's happened in these last two incidents, but it can. It can happen. And that is a concern. I don't want to minimize that part of it, right? But in the second half, Randle was really good. In that first half, he had 5 points, 3 rebounds. He shot 25% from the field. He missed all 4 of his 3-point shots. He was shooting just 60% from the field. But in the second half, after this incident, 14 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 blocks, shot 50% from the field, 40% from 3, 80% from the free throw line. So it's not lingering, right? But again, I just don't want it to happen at an inopportune time. That's the concern that I have. Let me check in with the chat before I get on with the rest of it. Jarrell, and we'll talk more about this tonight on the Just Nicking show. It's not going to be the whole show, right? We got a lot of other things to talk about. The Knicks are 0-3 since we last had the show, right? So we'll talk about, some other things, but we'll touch on this as well. Jarrell, appreciate you. Randle's attitude was inexcusable. He seems like a ticking time bomb at this point. It forces me not to trust him, shaking my head. That's the word for me, too. I don't mean trust overall, but like in the key moments of the game, if he's not getting a call and we're losing, and that's the time where you need to focus in more, I do have some concerns. Can I trust him to focus in more if we're losing, we're not getting a call, he's not getting the calls? Can I trust him to focus in more as opposed to getting wrapped up in the fact that he's not getting the call? Kareem Grant, do you think Julius, until I self-destruct Randle's emotions, be our... I hope not. I hope not. Because this is the thing. I think for the most part, he's been able to be frustrated and handle himself, right? So I don't think this is something that happens all the time. It's happened twice. The Clipper game, Orlando game. For the most, he's been frustrated in other games as well. You can see it, right? Just he didn't get to that crescendo, it didn't boil over. So I think most of the time he has been able to hone his emotions. But I do have concerns that it may happen again at an inopportune time in the playoffs or even down the stretch as we're fighting not to fall in, into the play-in. So it's a concern. I don't think it's something that's going to happen often, right? He's been doing a good job so far, but I do think, yeah, it definitely can happen. Keith Turner, I wouldn't lose no sleep if we traded Randle, but best believe I'm getting a haul back for him. He's in his prime. You know what? I would lose sleep if we traded Randle. I would lose sleep if we traded Randle. He's a talented guy. He's a talented guy. I just think there's levels to it. And I think this level is just, the next level is, how do I manage it in the moment? When I feel it, when I feel it coming on, is there something that I can do to just bring it back a little? Salute to Cooler 718. Josh thinks load management will help. I mean, I don't think this is because he's tired. Perhaps, perhaps. I just think it's something, whether he's tired or not, that it can happen at any time, depending on how the game is going. Salute to Jay Boogie. I thought this was dope soul today. We getting spoken words and the Queen's learning out her profession and her talk. Queen need a Knick job. Yeah, I wouldn't mind working for the Knicks. Tim Smith, I'm concerned that opponents will try and push Julio's envelope to get him off his game. There's players that'll cheap shot you if you're going to go up. I mean, for me, from what I've seen, this is particularly around not getting calls. That's where I see the most of Randle's frustration. He's not getting calls. And the Knicks are losing at the time. Because when the Knicks are winning and he's not getting calls, he'll say what he has to say, but I think he could swallow it a little better, you know? But when the Knicks are not getting calls, are losing, he does, get frustrated. But again, for the most part of the season, I've seen this same frustration and he's been able to reel it in, right? 2 times he hasn't been able to, you know. Good morning, Sherwin. I appreciate you. David L. Okay, I've been waiting for 43 wins, and the Rockets will be our 43rd wins. Low management as far as mental health, playing. Yeah, I get it. But what I'm saying is he can be off 10 games. I still think, even after being off 10 games, he could still get frustrated in a game. He could still lose his cool in a game, even if he's off for 10 games. So I do hear what you're saying. I'm not quite sure that this happened because he's stressed out. We'll see. All right, let's see what anybody else is saying. The public enemy number 1, Knicks are terrible at defending the 3. Watching film ain't helping. Tibbs using the same method ain't helping. But the public enemy number 1, when it's work, it's the same scheme. So this is a question I have. It's the same scheme. Sometimes it works. Lately, it hasn't been working. Lately, the entire Knicks defense has been off. So when the Knicks were playing it well and teams weren't shooting well, because remember, the Knicks are 7th in opponent 3-point percentage defense. Were we saying the same thing then? It was the same scheme. Okay. Pablo M., the only 2 guys on the Knicks you can count on are Brunson and Hart. Can't hang my hat on anyone else on this team. And that's the problem, particularly in the playoffs. Listen, I think you can count on Randle. All I'm saying is it can come up at an inopportune time. I think you can count on Randle. JJ, I thought about you when Grimes was having his game. I thought about you when Stafford Don proud papas. Grimes should be getting more touches than RJ. He's better. Listen. Grimes, the last 2 games have been knocking down shots. But let's not act like Grimes has been shooting the lights out, as well. His touches, I think, maybe this switch will happen next season. But right now, I don't think his role is going to change. His role is to play off of those guys, to be that outlet person when they double team them, or when they're driving to the basket and his guy rotates over to hit. Like, that's his role right now. RJ's role is a little different. Like, RJ is somebody you give the ball to and say, get me a shot. It's not something I like about RJ's game, right? But they do that from time to time. Put the ball in his hands and he does his 3-step back up to set up his drive, to the basket. I don't think that's going to be Grimes' role right now this season. But I do hear you. If Grimes continues to take the steps that he's taken, that could be his role soon enough. And by that, I mean next season or the season after. Because he does have game. I just don't think it's going to change this season. Jeff Clafter, Jalen Brunson helps Randle, I think. Well, I think he helps in the sense that there's less of a load on Randle. Less of a load up, less of a load on him. He's sharing it, Um, JJ Hart stuck up for kudos to yeah, Josh. That's exactly what I was about to say. Kudos for for IQ, stepping up to Randle, in that situation and going back and forth with him. Kudos to him for doing it. I like that, actually. JJ Grimes was great on both ends. Only one that kept us in the game. Yeah, he did. I think in the second half, more plays, like I just mentioned, Randle came around in the second half. He played better, quickly played better. He didn't shoot particularly well, but he still put up 25 points for us, and we needed every one of them. Okay. All right. Just want to talk a little bit about where the Knicks are. Oh, well, let's go over this real quick. We talked about Grimes, 25 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, 3 steals, 5 3-pointers, shot 55.6% from the field. Quickly, 25 points, 5 rebounds, 7 assists, 9 free throws. I believe it was 9 for 10 from the free throw line. He got to the line 10 times, meaning he was attacking. Didn't shoot that great. 41.2% from the field. Randle, 23 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists, 35% from the field, 22.2% from the 3-point line. Barrett, 10 points, and I think he had 8 of those 10 in the first half, if I'm not mistaken. 2 rebounds, 3 assists, 5 turnovers. Shot 25% from the field. And the Knicks didn't shoot well for the game. 42% from the field, 30% from the 3-point line, 76.9% from the free throw line. Beccaro, this guy is a load. He is a load. 21.6 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks, 2 3-pointers. Cole Anthony, 18.6 rebound. I'm not going to go through all of their stats, but they shot 46% from the field. They shot 40% from the 3-point line, and they shot 85% from the free throw line. They're a tough team. They're a tough team. I wouldn't be surprised if they're not in the play-in. I wouldn't be surprised if they were in the play-in next season. That's a tough team. Let me see if there's anybody else. I thought Obi played well. Like in that fourth quarter, Randle had 11 points. Hart had 7 points. Obi Toppin had 5 points in the fourth quarter, right? Oh, did I not? Anyway, for whatever reason, I didn't. I got this incorrect. Anyway, the Knicks are 5th in the Eastern Conference. Miami is 6 now, right? So, and Brooklyn right now is 7. So the Knicks are, I believe, 2 games out of the play-in. Like, that's what I'm looking for. Now, I ain't even looking for where they are in relation to Miami. Miami is already now in the 6th seed, right? The Knicks are, if I'm not correct, if I'm correct, 2 games out of the 7th seed. Right? So there has to be some urgency. We got one more game against Miami. We got a game against Cleveland. And the other games, you want to say they're not that tough. I think we got 2 against Indiana. We got a game against New Orleans. But when you're not playing well, every game is tough. Right? We're not playing well. So if we don't get it together, if we don't turn it around, that New Orleans game is going to be a tough game. Those games against Indiana are going to be tough games if we don't turn it around. Right? As far as the team stats, we went over the shooting percentages, already. Points in the paint, relatively even. Second chance points, the Knicks were +7. Fast break points, the Knicks were +5. Assists, the Knicks had 26, assists, 13 turnovers. The issue is the defense. That's just the bottom line. The issue is the defense, and the Knicks need to find a way. Here we go. And the Knicks need to find a way to get better. The Knicks are, there it is. So they're 1.5 games still above Miami for the 6th seed, 2 games above Brooklyn for the 7th seed, who are in the 7th seed, 7th place. So the Knicks have a little cushion, but again, we haven't been playing well. That cushion can evaporate if we don't get better. All right, let me check in with the chat before we go into Monday's game. Paris Duggar, I appreciate you. Raymond from White Men Can't Jump strikes again. I'm not sure what that means, but appreciate the super chat. JJ, most games aren't easy for the Knicks. Yeah. White Falcon would start McBride. That means that moves quickly back to the second team. I mean, I wouldn't be adverse to that. The only thing about McBride to me, I think McBride dribbles too much quickly too. I think both of them, they just pound the ball a bit too much. Sharon, the issue is defense and ball movement. I mean, I think the ball is moving, maybe player movement, but definitely the defense. David G not going anywhere without JB. Yeah, I think Brunson is a necessity, just in terms for what he himself brings, but for how he changes the dynamic of the team. So yeah, he's definitely, he's important. Pacers in Houston are winnable. Yeah, I mean they are. I'm just saying the Knicks are not playing well. We may find ourselves in a dogfight with them. David L. Last time the main games are Heat, Cavs, and the 2 indie games. Yeah. Keith Turner, if you score 25 points in an NBA game, that's far from empty stats for sure. Sherwin, Randle was a plus 20. For those who put a lot of stock in plus minuses, everybody else was a minus. Randle was plus 20. Miami plays Brooklyn tomorrow. Someone got to win. Knicks need to win next game versus Houston, and they'll be off for 3 games. For 3 days. Okay. Think the Cavs are pulling off that wild comeback win versus Brooklyn last night. All right. Monday we play Houston, who are, we already know the Knicks record, right? Houston is 18-55 on the season, right? So they've won less than 20 games. They're 15th, which is last actually in the Western Conference. Over the last 10 games, they're 18th in offensive rating, 24th in defensive rating, 23rd in net rating. But the Knicks over the last 10 games haven't been that better. They're 18th in offensive rating, the Knicks are 17th. They're 24th in defensive rating, the Knicks are 20th. Right? We beat them early in the season. I believe we played them in December, I want to say. But the Knicks can't rest on their... The Knicks can't go into this game thinking it's a gimme. And I get it. It's hard to get up for a team and be sharp for a team that's only won 18 games. Don't focus on them. Focus on the fact that you've lost 3 straight. That's what you should be focusing on. Let this be an opportunity to work on to play better defense. Not work like it's a scrimmage, but let this be a game for you to play better defense. I anticipate hopefully Brunson will be back after 3 days off. Hopefully he'll be back. But if he's not 100%, whatever 100% means at this point in the season, sit. We just have to work it out. But if he is back, it'll be him, Grimes, Barrett, Randle, and Robinson, the usual. The projected starters for them are Kevin Porter Jr., Jalen Green, Kenyon Martin Jr., Jabari Smith Jr., and Alperen Sengun. I hope I said that right. And he's pretty good, too. All right, tonight we'll be doing the Just Nicking It show, 9:30. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit the notification button. It'll be 9 or 9:30 tonight. And then Monday on the Nothing But Knicks channel, I'll be doing Queen's Court, where we'll be talking about this 0-3 week with the panel. All right. Let me just shout some people out on my way out the door. Appreciate you. Pudge Nice, JJ, Geraldine, MacGyver, Dwayne, Dennis. Appreciate you. Pudge Nice. White Falcon 44. The coolest. I agree. Every game is a must win. Another cliche saying. That is true. Cam from the Kickback. I appreciate you. I think he's part of the replay gang, if I'm not mistaken. Salute, Steph. Finally made it to catch you live. Tough loss again. I don't like what's up with Randle. Can't be that emotionally unstable and be a #1 guy. It was sad to see. Let's go Knicks, though. I just think it was a hiccup. I think there will be hiccups for him. I don't think he's going to be perfect, but I think he's been really good in terms of controlling his emotionality. It's going to happen from time to time where it boils over. I'm just hoping it doesn't boil over at a time where we don't have the opportunity, or he doesn't have the opportunity to recover from it. Salute to Paris Duggar, Jeff Clafter, Dwayne Dennis. Let me see. Sherwin. Staff IQ was not sharing the ball until the Randle disagreement. All right. I know Sherman be on it. He watching IQ on every possession. So okay. JJ, White Falcon, Real King, Jarrell, you know what it is. David L. Josh, aka Uncle Fulio, the Public Enemy. You know, I think Tim Smith, who was here from the beginning. Let me just make sure. Jay Boogie. I just want to make sure I don't King Cypress, Building Blocks, that there wasn't any super chats that I missed. Pablo M. I appreciate all you guys for tuning in the morning. It's tough to talk Knicks after a loss. It was like I got punched in the stomach last night. It took me a little while to kind of get over that particular loss and the fact that we're 0-3 this, this week. Anyway, tonight, 9:30, keep your notifications on. We got 47 in the chat. We got 21 likes. All right. So please hit the like button out the door. It helps the channel. Until next time, I appreciate you guys.
Sister, you one of a kind.
Yes.
Oh, sister, it's time you
That's
shine. Don't so.
Where you at? Where you at?
Don't so.
Where you at? Where you at?
Don't so.
What?
Don't so.